Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various legal issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices in Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning.
Tom, we've seen a real problem developing in the last year or so of our practice, and that is this perception that facilities, particularly nursing homes, can provide people the same level of representation qualifying for medical assistance as a qualified Medicaid lawyer.
Well, exactly. And I think part of the problem is you're dealing with these people, you're putting a lot of faith, they're taking care of a loved one, but at the same time, this is an adversarial relationship. And in most cases, this facility is going to be charging you or your family $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a month, and so it's in their interest to work things to their benefit.
Well, we have a combination of issues here. We have most of the people who work within the facilities can do very simple Medicaid cases, but cannot do any sort of sophisticated Medicaid cases. They're not lawyers. They're not qualified to get sort of down and dirty with the state, and so they just kind of cruise through this stuff. They don't really understand the nature of some of the problems that they're staring at until it's way too late.
Right, exactly. And their general answer is to help you spend your money till you are at the applicable levels, not protect things, especially for the healthy spouse at home.
Well, they perpetuate that urban myth, which is the single largest urban myth that we have to deal with every day, which is you can't do anything after a person is in a nursing home. And so they say, well, it's all over now, no point wasting any money with a lawyer, we're going to do this for you for free. And the reality is that they're not going to do as good a job as you could have done for you because of operating under that misconception that once somebody's in a nursing home, there's nothing you can do.
Right, and that's just the opposite. That's when we really get rolling, because now we know who's in the nursing home, we know what assets are at risk, and we can then proceed to protect them and make sure the healthy spouse is safe and financially secure the rest of their life.
And it doesn't make any difference whether it's a single case or a married couple case. The fact of the matter is the nursing home are routinely telling people if you have a married couple, they have $200,000. $100 is automatically protected, but they're telling them you must spend down the other $100. There is no point in seeing a lawyer. You must spend it down, which is just absolutely not true.
Well, exactly. In most cases, we're protecting that money for that person. But you're right, even in single person cases, there's lots of things that can be done, and that's just the starting point. So if you're being told, either by the nursing home, your friend, your lawyer, that there's nothing that can be done, that's just not true.
And the problem is, of course, particularly in a single person case, it's a false economy anyway. And the reason we say that is if you listen to the nursing home, you do it exactly the way that they said to do it, the person's going to have $2,500 at the end of the day. Ironically, even if you were to hire a lawyer and they were completely ineffective, which is obviously not what our business is, you would still have $2,500 at the end of the day. There is no savings by following that advice. All there is a risk of substantially greater losses.
Well, and you compound that with, in many cases, you'll have families who have made gifts or done things throughout their lives, and now those problems come home to roost, and the nursing home is not equipped to fix that problem.
Well, the nursing home will routinely wait until the person has spent all of their money. Then you find out that 4 years early, that ne'er-do-well son, hooked mom for 25 grand for something, which results in a 3 to 4 month period of ineligibility. Had you discovered that transaction earlier in the process, you could have avoided the penalty that's incurred as a result of that. And most people don't realize their parents are not telling them everything in the last 5 years of their lives, and then all of a sudden you find this stuff, or you find just inadvertently innocent written checks that are, creating a problem.
Right, exactly. And you see it all the time. Families write gifts for this or that, or pay for tuition, or help out with families, and you're right. They come back to haunt you 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and if you don't address it at the time and prior to running out of money, now you run the risk of big gaps in payments where nursing homes start suing families to get that money back.
And one of the problems is that they're impugning the representation of a qualified elder law attorney. They're essentially saying their sole business is to charge fees, which we think is absolutely hilarious because, in fact, the nursing home's sole business is to extract all your money from you.
That's exactly right.
And, but we're not in business to charge fees. We're in business to add value. And we tell clients every day, if I can't add value, I'm going to tell you I can't add value. But on the other hand, you sit down with us and we explain to you this is the value that can be added. And it's a very easy mathematical question. Am I getting enough to justify the fees that I'm paying?
Right, and you can do that. And in some cases where, because of the health or the situation, there's not much we can do to add value, and so we'll guide them in a different direction. But you ought to know what your rights are before you get burned.
And I have people every day say, well, I can't afford to spend my own lawyer because I'm spending $10,000 a month at the nursing home. And we're going, where is the disconnect there to realize that if you're spending that kind of money, you do need to find out if you have options. And that's the word that we drive home every day. You always have options, and many times those options are dramatically better than what you're being told.
Well, exactly. And the first option is, do I have to pay that $10,000 a month, or is there a better option as far as payment sources?
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance orders to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to a special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Sarah Bush from the Human Resources Development Commission of Allegheny County. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you.
Now, that's a big title for what is an organization that's available in all counties. Tell me what you mean by that.
We work for the Area Agency on Aging through the HRDC, or Human Resource Development Commission. We're one of the programs that is ran through that program, or through that agency.
So every county in our viewing area has one.
Correct.
And it's a federal mandate.
It sure is.
All right, so let's talk about generically some of the services as well as some of the services you specifically provide for the retirement community. Now, my understanding is it really starts at age 60, not necessarily 65.
That is correct. With our age 60 congregate meals, you're eligible to come into our senior centers. We have 4 senior centers across the county, and they you can come in, you can participate even at a younger age. If you're disabled, you're more than welcome to come in earlier. But for what most federal funding is 60 and above, that is correct.
Now, not only do you provide the congregate meals, but you also provide some other meals. Tell us a little bit about that.
We also provide the after-school meals for 6 elementary schools and 2 middle schools, and then 2 community settings.
All right, but you also provide some for other people who are not able to get into the congregate centers.
Correct. We also do our home delivered meals. In Cumberland alone, we're doing about almost 200 meals a day for home delivered. Across the county, it's about 450.
Well, that's quite a few meals.
Yes, it is.
All right, and so are those delivered then to the people's homes?
They are. We have drivers that come out and deliver them to the homes, so it's an extra set of eyes too for families who have concerns about a loved one being home by themselves all day and not being able to get out. So it's a good way to keep check on mom and dad as well.
And unfortunately for some of those people, it's really their only contact with the outside world.
That is correct. And our drivers are wonderful. They take a few extra seconds to say hello, make sure they're okay. So it really is a good program.
Now, obviously this program is a big program. There's a certain expense involved with it, but I know that you don't let means determine whether or not you can participate in the meals or not.
That is correct. The way it is set up is that it's by donation basis. Each county is a little bit different. Ours is a suggested donation price of $375 for those 60 and above.
All right. Well, one of the other challenges that comes up with this is that you do, and I assume in your congregate meal sites, you also provide some socialization as well?
Oh yes, we have everything from line dancing, painting, playing bingo, of course, Paquino. We offer Tai Chi. We also offer some evidence-based program classes where they can learn how to stay well and stay in their homes as well.
All right, so what time does one of the centers tend to open?
All 4 of our centers are open 8 to 4.
All right, so there's a lot of things going on besides lunch.
That's correct. And some of the centers even have evening meals. The Georges Creek Center, it's nothing for them to have between 35 and 75 people come out for an evening meal. So it's a real great opportunity for them to socialize, to get to know people across the county as well.
And of course, it's a very important feature is during this time frames in which we have health insurance issues, particularly Part D and so forth, you provide a lot of assistance on that.
We do. Every one of my senior centers has at least one person trained to help with the Part D. For any complicated problems or cases, they bring them to me and I help them with them.
And of course, totally unrelated to the annual election period, people are also looking at Medicare supplements and Part C plans, and you assist in the selection of them as well.
We do. We're not brokers, so we can't sell the insurance to them, but we can offer them the basic information of what's covered by each one, and also refer them to someone who can help them get that supplement in place as well.
All right, so once again, as we remind our audience, every county has a similar service model, but if somebody in Allegheny County needed assistance, how could they get a hold of you?
They can either email me at sbush@AlleghenyHRDC.org, or they can call me at 301-783-1710.
Now let's try that number again a little slower.
Okay, it's 301-783-1710.
Sarah, I want to thank you for taking time to appear on our program.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
Guys, I thought you were supposed to be working in the yard.
But Dad, just one more bid on HurleyAuctions.com.
If you haven't visited HurleyAuctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at HurleyAuctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Rod McRae, Public Information Officer, Washington County Health Department. Welcome to the show,
Thank
Rod.
you very much.
Now, Rod, our viewers are going to note that I don't have my standard operating uniform on, and that's because once a year we have the health department on to talk both about the flu shots, and I have one administered to me. So first of all, let's talk about why do I have to get a flu shot every year?
Well, you need to get one every year because every year the strains can change, and the vaccine that you got the year before may not be as effective against what's circulating currently.
Now, how does that process begin? I understand it begins in the east somewhere?
Typically that's true. What they do is track, when I say they, is people from CDC and the World Health Organization track the flu strains that are circulating that seem most likely to be in circulation in the West, and then they formulate the vaccines based on their best assumption.
So they go to the East, which is where these viruses tend to originate, and then sort of migrate across the northern hemisphere to the U.S.?
Typically, yes, that's exactly the way it works.
All right, so what do? Do they try to go down and identify particular viruses that are most likely to migrate?
What they do is try to find the vaccine that will fit the viruses that are most likely, as best as they can determine based on what they see coming forward the season.
All right, so flu has many, many different types of viruses out there. So my understanding is they tend to focus on 3 in each vaccine?
Yes, that's correct. Normally, every year the vaccine is the 3 targeted viruses that they most suspect.
Now, obviously, that means occasionally you may not hit the viruses exactly on, but there's still a benefit to getting the flu shot, even if you don't have the specific virus.
That's true. Even if you don't have that specific virus, it tends to help you recover more quickly and minimizes the effect of it.
All right, well, there's always this thing that you hear that if you take a flu shot, you have the risk of getting the flu.
That's not really true. I think sometimes what happens, if that is indeed perceived by someone, is that they may have been in an incubation phase prior to the shot and before the immune response was triggered.
Which means it takes several weeks sometimes for that full immunity
Yes.
to develop. So if you'd already been exposed, you might have gotten it a week after the shot, which meant you really already had been exposed.
True, yes.
And the shot wasn't going to prevent it in that sense.
That's true, but it may help mitigate it.
And of course, we had that year a few years ago in which all of a sudden there was a new flu shot being administered in the spring because it came through a different way through South America.
You're thinking of, I think, 2009, which was the H1N1 outbreak? Yes, that's correct. Basically, we were cued into that from Mexico.
But the interesting thing is that people, because when you have very successful vaccinations, you have a lot of people immunized, and all of a sudden you don't have quite as big a problem as you have, and somehow people think it isn't important.
That's the biggest struggle we have in public health, because when we do our job, things don't happen.
All right, and of course that H1N1, they rushed the vaccine to the scene. They got a lot of people immunized, and the people thought, well, you know, this was a false concern.
It was not a false concern, no, no. And what happened that year was unique in that that particular strain of flu tended to strike younger people more than the elderly.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you do develop immunities, and it was discovered that people 70 had probably already been exposed to it at a prior time in life and really didn't get it. It was the young
Right,
people.
some variant. We had some difficulty explaining that, frankly.
All right, so every year you need to get it. I know the health department is not as active in it because many, retail organizations now picked up as well as physicians' offices.
That's true. We've basically been outcompeted, and I think that's a really very good thing. We're very happy about that. And there's no indication that because we're not giving as many vaccinations as we used to, that overall nationally the vaccination rate has declined.
All right, well, we have Nurse Melissa with us here so that we could administer the coup de grace to me because I have to get one every year to say it's not do as I say, but as I do. So we'll see that this is really just basically a non-event. So as we let her do it, we need a blindfold here and maybe
I don't
a
think you're a tough
cigarette,
guy. You can do it.
But actually, this is amazingly painless process. Just fill out a few papers, and they go and administer it, whether it be at your local pharmacy or grocery store or wherever. But it just can't be any simpler. Thanks a lot, Melissa. I appreciate you coming and doing that for me. Well, Rod, as always, I'd like you taking time for coming out here and explaining why we need flu shots every year and encourage people to go out and get them, and it's just as simple as the one that they saw here.
Yes, it is, and I always appreciate being here.
Rod, thanks again.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had terminal illness. I would recommend to everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up. It's going to make it, I mean, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call Hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most.
I have wanted to be a teacher ever since first grade. Without the Mary and Ruth Smith Scholarship, I would not be successful as a growing adult.
Do you wish to make a difference in the lives of others? You can, and you don't have to be wealthy to impact future generations. Start your legacy at the Community Foundation and impact lives, just as Mary and Ruth Smith have done.
Thank you to the Community Foundation for believing in me and providing me the opportunity to become successful with my goals.
Albright Crumbacker Mal & Eitel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. Making Sense focuses on the financial issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Ed Lowe, Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning.
You know, Ed, you and I have had a passion for years talking about life insurance products, and the reality is that there's a whole fleet of life insurance policies out there that people are really quite stunned that they may actually pay all the premiums and still not end up with a death benefit.
That's very true, and I think what you're talking about specifically is a product called Universal Life or Flexible Premium type life insurance.
And the easiest way to recognize that is if you don't get a bill, your Northwestern bill says send a check. On the other hand, if you get a bill that's 3 pages long and has a spreadsheet on it, it's almost guaranteed that it's a Universal Life Flexible Premium policy.
It probably has about 8 columns or so, and in that columns is going to show the cost of insurance and the premium due and the expenses on the contract and the interest earned. And the problem is over time, the cost of insurance increases annually and can in fact make the cash value go down to zero.
People don't realize that when they look at that spreadsheet and they see something in there that says this policy will cease to provide coverage in 2021, it means even though you've paid the premiums and even though you might have substantial cash value in that policy is going to implode. It's going to terminate at some point short of your death unless you die early.
Unless you die early, or you do have the opportunity sometimes to make a large lump sum payment, but certainly if you're 80 years old, who wants to make that kind of lump sum payment?
Now, one of the interesting things is when we look at life insurance companies, we almost always prefer mutual companies. Now, why is a mutual company more advantageous to the policyholder than a stock company?
Mutual company, the policy owners receive the dividends. On the stock company, the policy owners do not receive the dividends. So the potential for dividends with the mutual company can cause the death benefit to increase, and also somewhere down the road you can use those dividends to decrease your premium or in fact make your premium go away.
Let's give a simple answer to that question. The policy owners own the mutual company. The stockholders own the stock company. They're not the same. So when the mutual company makes money, it gives it back to its policyholders. When a stock company makes money, it gives it to its shareholders.
Right, it's stock owners, and so those dividends are not available to use to reduce premiums, increase death benefit, or in fact make premiums disappear somewhere down the road.
And of course, the name of your life insurance company is Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, which is one of the largest life insurance companies on the globe and has been committed to not only providing excellent coverage, but also giving the profits back to its policyholders.
Correct, and there are many fine mutual companies. About 10% of the industry, life insurance industry, are mutual companies. 90% of the industry is comprised by stock life insurance companies.
And so as we look at this and we look at coverage issues, oftentimes a person will say, well, I'm 60, 70, 80 years old, I don't need to consider coverage, or I'm 50 and I don't want to look at coverage. But many times there are obvious glaring needs for why a person might need life insurance.
Well, they may have a special needs child that they need to keep life insurance for. They may have an estate tax issue looming down the road that perhaps they don't foresee at age 50, but could be there at age 70 or age 75.
Or perhaps they might still have an existing mortgage on their house that's not going to pay off until a little bit later in life. And obviously, with the loss of income that comes from one spouse passing, they may not have the resources in order to pay off that mortgage.
Yeah, and of course, many times when the husband passes away, if there's not life insurance, you know, sometimes the spouse is left with a smaller Social Security check, and sometimes, you know, their income is drastically reduced and they're in a bad way.
Yeah, we oftentimes look at a lot of things. You know, in a classic manner, you know, you would want to have sufficient investments at retirement to take care of your retirement, not looking to life insurance for that. But obviously, a lot of things have changed over the last few years. Investment returns have not been as good in some instances. You know, you've had family issues arise that say, I'm not going to be sitting there at age 65 with no future financial responsibilities, and life insurance has to be a component in order to manage that.
It is, and in fact, the death benefits are received tax-free, which we haven't mentioned, and that's a big, strong point for that. We can watch folks, if somebody was going to retire in 2008, that was a bad time to retire if they were going to live off their investment portfolio.
And sometimes people's investment objectives change. You know, sometimes they find themselves thinking that they would have been out of business and retired at 65, and they find out actually they're not. You know, there's been a tough economy in many respects for the last 15 years, and so as people look at their retirement, we oftentimes look and say retirement really requires that you replace the income that you lose when you work, because notwithstanding the financial planner showing you spending more than you make, I haven't yet met a senior who's comfortable with that and plan.
That's true, and a lot of people think that, well, when I retire, I'll need less money to live off of. The problem is people are living 25 to 30 years after retirement.
Ed, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Thank you.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.